What is up? Today we're hustling, trying to squeeze a quarter into a dollar. This thing needs to get finished up, or Brian might buy it like it is. I'm not sure yet. This right here, I bought over the weekend. I bought it on Sunday. They wanted 15 out of it. Said it had a bad transmission. I asked what the bottom dollar is. She said $9.50. I said, does it start? She went out there to try to start it. Does not run. She dropped the price, said she'd do $800. I'm like, all right, can I come check it out tomorrow? I was fully anticipating this to be a donor machine for the Bobcat. I get it. I get there. It won't turn over. Starter's locked up. I'm like, man, I'm risking it. If this thing's got a locked up motor, if it's got a locked up starter. It's like, what would you meet me at 600? He's like, sure. I really don't care. I'd give it to you, but I don't have the power to just give it away. Well, I'll pay for it. I got the original certificate origin for it. This is a 2001, which would be called a Series 10 Ranger. I got back to the shop. I smacked that starter around a few times. Told her it better start working or I'm gonna throw it in the trash. And lo and behold, I got it to turn over. But it sounds absolutely horrendous. That's not the motor, that's the starter. And that sounds terrible. So I'm like, all right, well, this motor runs. Let's check it out and let's see. And so I pulled the clutches off and found the primary clutch was actually broken. They took this thing to a shop and they told them it needed a transmission. You can see well, I don't know if I can find it. The spring's broke, whatever. And I started looking at it. I'm like, man, we put it in gear, put the shift cable, took shift cable off and put it in gear. It goes right into gear. There's nothing wrong with that transmission. So I ordered a clutch, starter, and shift cable. And we're definitely gonna have to clean the carburetor out on it. Not to mention the carb has to come off to get the starter off, so might as well. And we're gonna try it out. Now, I did order some cheaper stuff off Amazon. And I'll put links to this in the description if I think it's decent quality. I ordered the shift cable, which was surprisingly cheap. I think that was like $22. And then I've been wanting to try one of these out. This is an aftermarket clutch. Now I don't know if this is gonna be good or not. We're gonna give it a shot and see. I don't wanna install something that's gonna fail, especially since I'm selling it. But that was the only thing I could get in time, and so that I could get this thing up to where it needs to be sold. And the same thing with the starter. This other clutch, I'll save it. I'm gonna buy the clutch rebuild tool kit and I'll rebuild that for a spare, so next time something like this happens and comes in, I can just rebuild the clutch real quick, or I'll have one rebuilt on the shelf. It's ready to go. I've been dealing with this Bobcat in here for like 2 months, and with all the new shop and all the move and everything going on, I decided I was just gonna put it back together and I'm gonna send it to auction, which kind of worked out because like some of the parts I had, because I put everything that I had accumulated for it, I went ahead and put it on it. So it's not missing quite as many parts as it was. The gas tank that I had won't work, and I did not know that. I should have checked it. It is what it is. So I'm gonna take that and send it to auction, see what it does. If it sells, it sells. If it don't, then it'll make it back to the new shop and we'll just make it happen, get it fixed. But I screwed up big time. There was a comment that said, hey, drop that razor crank and some apple cider vinegar and that will eat the rust off of it. So I put the crankshaft balancer and the oil pump because it had some rust on the shaft and I was hoping to clean it up and it looked good. It's all ruined. It's all ruined. So it's probably my fault. I'm not gonna blame anybody but myself. I probably should not have left this sit over the weekend. So I put it in there Thursday and went to take it out on Monday. And if you look here, you can see where it goes from like nice shiny to that dull. You can feel that with your hand. It ate that chrome plating off of there. And it did it on both sides. I mean, that's the worst side right there, which is a bummer because that's like, I bought a used one. It was like 60 bucks. So I got to wait for parts of the razor yet again. It did it on the crank. You can kind of see it right there. The crank's harder it didn't do this as bad as it did to that, but I'm not going to risk this crank, especially. That sounds so bad. So, ordered another oil pump, crankshaft balancer, is what it is. this razor's turned into a money pit, but I did the math, I'm still only 2,600 in it, so that's not that bad. Honestly, it shouldn't take too terribly long today to knock this stuff out and clean up this mess I made yesterday. We're getting the insulation in the new shop well, they started on it yesterday, and they're supposed to be finished around 1. So I kind of got to be done and out of here by that time too. So we got a busy day ahead of us, real busy day. I'm really hoping this doesn't have other issues, because I've never seen a rectifier look like that. There's a new one on it, but that looks bad. So I'm gonna get started on this Ranger first. And what I'm thinking for the shift cable is they're like little eyelets, and I'm gonna zip tie them to each other, and maybe I can just pull it on through. Otherwise, it's really not that big a deal because it runs underneath there and you gotta take the little triangle floorboard piece out. Not that big a deal. Get up underneath here. And pull it up through there. I think the hardest part, honestly, will be taking these nuts off this side, getting it all tuned in right. Alright, now let's see if she'll start up. Hopefully there's no smoke, and hopefully it doesn't need a cam. Oh, there's a cam. You gotta get that fuel pump pumping that fuel in there. This is what the plug's looking like. That looks terrible. There was some water on top of it, so I don't know. We're gonna replace it and see what happens. See if that helps. That needs to be replaced regardless. So that ain't been replaced in a minute. All right, now we're going to see. I got a new plug in there. Let's see.
I can see a bud.
The diaphragm, that does not look good. I guess when I puffed it up and I dumped it over, I got the stuff in there. I'm gonna try to clean that up, see if it fixes it. It's actually oil. I don't know what would cause that. It's not smoking or anything. I've never seen oil on top of one of these. So that's interesting to say the least. Let's try this again. The diaphragm was in such poor shape, and it kind of seemed like I don't know, worn is the best way to put it. It's like, it's supposed to be dry. I don't know how to word it. I don't know how it feels. Like, it's not supposed to be so flimsy. So I actually opted to swap it out because I had another one out of a parts card. So let's see if this does the trick. This isn't the first time I've had to replace one of these because of this exact issue though. Unfortunately, I think we got a cam problem. Just the way that's doing, it's like there's something, I don't know. I've had 2 of them do this, and it was cam. So we'll bust it all open. Take that exhaust lobe's worn. These are real common for doing that to the cams. which is a bummer. Really didn't want to have to do a cam job on this thing. So we're gonna pop that top end off, and you can, well, not the whole top end, but you can pop the top cover off and kind of rotate rotate it around and take a look at your cam. And it's almost always that exhaust lobe's just worn out. Maybe, just maybe we'll get lucky and the valves are out of spec. They're actually really easy to set on this. It's actually most difficult part's getting it to top dead center, which I've done a bunch of these, so I don't really go off of the flywheel anymore. It just doesn't, because the flywheel's always all rusted up, so it's hard to read, especially through that little view hole that it has. So just as I expected, and I'm gonna do my best to show this, but anybody knows what a cam lobe looks like, that right there is where it should be sticking out the most. And you can, I'm trying to flashlight it, see how it's worn down? The cam and that rocker will be worn. So that basically that cam has to be replaced. That's why it's doing that. Well, they're common for wearing cams. I don't know where my phone went dead on recording that. But I ordered a cam, a new exhaust lobe. It's always the same thing. It's like I knew it, and I was hoping that's not what it was. But that's it. It's not that big a deal to replace the cam on this unit. You know, you got to take a few things off and get it to top dead center. It's not rocket science. Got that coming in. That should be in soon. This here, kind of waiting on Brian. I really want to clear out a bunch of these projects in here. I don't know what it is. Like, I get to a certain point, I don't know about y'all, but like, I just need to sell something. Just sell something, like, to get it out the door. Still waiting on updates on the 800 that got stolen. I'm seeing what I'm gonna get paid out, or when I'm gonna get paid out, or if I'm gonna get paid out. I'm assuming they will. Thanks for watching.